I'm watching the episode Night Ride on Batman, Cape Crusader.
Is it really enough? Giving my heart and my soul, but still don't feel like enough. Feeling inadequate, still getting after it. Trust me, the feeling is tough. Feeling is rough. Hold on a second, I'm thinking.
And the whole series has been fun. So far, I've enjoyed it. The Harley Quinn, the Barbara Gordon, like the different changes that has been made, the Montoya. But one thing that really blew me about this episode is that there's a man in this, like, I don't know, 1800s garb, riding a horse, pretty much like a ghost rider, who's robbing from like poor people of Gotham. And Bruce is now, after confronting him as Batman and then losing him because the guy like walked through a wall or rode his horse through a wall, he is now at the library, like, researching. So he drew out this like coat of arms, shield, family crest thing. It's like, oh, hey, I can't find this anywhere. Librarian's like, oh, you wouldn't. And this is where I run into a bit of an issue. She says, you wouldn't find this anywhere because this is, I don't know, something to start with a C. This family is one of the founding families of Gotham, but all of their history was struck from the records because of the behavior of one man. And I'm thinking, like, I guess I get what you're trying to do, but how weird is it and how detrimental is it to strike the history of something from your books merely because you don't like the way that person acted? Is that not weird? So now I'm a kid in Gotham, I'm growing up learning about Gotham history, and then you don't report on this family because the man had a gambling addiction. He was like a terrible person. Even if he was a mass murderer, the fact is that history is important to know about. Like, that's what's so weird to me about some of these stories and shows. And I'm hoping that by the end of this episode, maybe it turns around and like, yeah, he's terrible. Let's still add his history in because we need to know about, because it just feels so manipulative and so deceptive to intentionally exclude a portion of history because you do not like the actions of said person. Well, if we're reporting history, that's what reporting history is. You report the things that happen. You don't have to say, oh, this family was so great even when they murdered everybody and they sliced up the firstborn for generations. That's not what you're saying, but you still can report on that. And so I think what struck me as odd is that everything I said, but it's also that yes, this is a cartoon. That's very clear. But I guess I start to think about like history in general when you do have something that is based off specifically American history, and with the hell that we've experienced throughout its inception, it's like you can't just ignore those things because it makes you sad, or it's not the type of story you want to tell. Well, don't base it in history. Do some fantasy story. So first thing that comes to mind is Wonder Woman and Captain America, the live action versions. Like, y'all were around for quite some time for a lot of horrific shit, but yet. And so I don't know. I just thought that was so interesting that this librarian is like, oh, you would never find anything about this family. They've been strucken from the record. Ma'am, in the basic attempt at preserving education, preserving history for like that's like, because then it's like, first of all, who struck it? What was the reason why? Is it simply this man's actions? And then how many other things were also struck from the record where you're giving people this fake tailored history? And then who does it benefit to not include these people's history in the Gotham history where they are one of the founding families of Gotham? Like, that just makes no sense. So, I don't know. Thought it was interesting. So if you're watching the Cape Crusader or you finished it, let me know what are your thoughts on that. But this was weird as hell.
This is a losing battle. 100 other monsters will show up to replace anyone you take down.
Also, Harvey Dent is an asshole, sure, but this same episode, the Ghost Horseman like robs everybody on the train while he's trying to do his like media PR rebranding tour, showing that he's a man of the people. And he quite literally jumps in the way of this horseman who's trying to rob everybody on the train. He's like, here, rob me, don't rob the citizens. Then the man is like, fuck you, mayor, I'm gonna rob this man. And he robs him. And so now Harvey's being hounded by the press. And they're like, did you really just stand by and let him rob? And let him rob one of Gotham's like poor people? I'm like, bruh, there were literally cameras rolling. Like, you could see him. Like, I'm not saying I'm a Harvey stan whatsoever, but like, he quite literally jumped in front of this horse ghost man. And the horse ghost man is like, no, fuck all that. Give me this man who has a 9-to-5 and 3 kids, and he's struggling to live paycheck to paycheck. Like, what is happening? It's so ridiculous. And then like Harvey does that, and I guess the argument could be made like, Harvey, why don't you just give this man the money that was stolen? But like, that's not even what they're saying. This is so ridiculous. This show is so bonkers, and I've been watching it the last couple weeks, like just here and there, so I won't, like, it won't be over too soon because I am enjoying it. But like, this show is so fucking bonkers, man. So Batman is doing I'm gonna say like voodoo seances, witchcraft, what, as a shorthand, because I don't know exactly what, I don't think the type of magic he's using has a title, but he's doing this to get rid of this ghost that is racist. So like, and again, I want to go back to my original point. Yes, this was a terrible man who robbed the poor and filled his own purse with their money, and they executed him, all that, but you still should not exclude him from the history of Gotham. Like, do not run from the fact that one of your founding families was a terrible fucking rotten fruit, and that's okay. But the fact that, like, I don't know why in my head I didn't put 2 and 2 together that he would also be racist. I was like, oh, he's just fucking greedy and he's stealing money from people. But when this goes, so Lucius is very black, and he has bought this land with this castle on it, or this house, and it is the family home of the racist ghost, and he's getting the deed signed over to him from the like current ancestor, or descendant rather, and he's like, who's that man on the wall? He's like, oh, well, that was my great 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 ancestor, and he was terrible and racist. And so the painting falls off the wall, the ghost crawls out, and he was like, you sell to the likes of this rabble rouser. And I was like, it still didn't click. I was like, was he saying the N-word? This show is so dumb. This episode in particular is so fucking funny to me, and I do not understand why this is so hilarious, because it fits with every other episode that has been here so far. But like, this episode for some reason is like taking me down. And so, I don't know if this is a retcon or not, because I'm not as familiar with Batman lore, but Pennyworth being a descendant or having ancestors that were like affiliated with some wealthy, noble, royal something. And so they're using his blood to do this like seance. This episode is fucking hilarious. Please, if you have not seen this show, this episode in particular, oh my God, please watch this.
And I'm thinking too much, really wanna flow like water, but I don't drink it enough. Spending more time with my daughter, really enjoying the innocence. Teaching her mind omnipotence, all of the things I never been taught. Stuck in my mind, all of these thoughts throwing me off. But hold that thought just for a second, I got 2 incoming calls.
Tell me that I am enough.